Let me check something real quick. Okay. So, Peter. Peter's doing great, guys. Okay. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to clickbait you here, so I'm just going to tell you right off the bat. This is because Peter is doing a bit. He's doing a comedy sketch at the beginning of this video. He's not behaving naturally here. He, in this bit at the beginning, is going to be making fun of us for perceiving him as crazy. I think it maybe backfired a bit. Anyway, let's take a look at how Peter's doing. This video is Team Trump's top 15 biggest wins that prove we are winning this war. There's a war? Think I would have heard of that, Peter. Anyway.
They won. Biden is president, and there's nothing we can do about it. He's gonna destroy the world. Don't you understand? Our hope is lost. Trump is not a god. He's just a man, and he failed, and we're all gonna die.
Trump is just a man. It's weird that you put that in a comedy sketch as if it's not true. Do you think Trump is a god, Peter? Are you okay? You doing okay? You found the thumbnail? Yeah. Oh, here's the cut. Before the cut, let's read some of these bit messages. Overthought says, all conspiracies and no play make Peter go crazy.
Don't mind if I do!
I miss Treehouse of Horror. And I know they still make it. I just don't like modern Simpsons. Hot take, I know. Sky Comet Fallen says, is Peter okay? Dead serious question here. No, he's in a cult. Brockagom says, can we make that face a new emote? Maybe. It'd be hard to get because it's kind of cut off, so it'd be flat at the bottom and top. Tucker White says, Hannah saying Peter's not acting naturally implies he ever does.
Peter, this is God speaking.
So I'll take a minute to absorb that. Okay.
Trump is winning. You just need to change your perspective. Look at it from a broader perspective. Is Trump losing?
I like that Peter thinks this is what God sounds like. Daddy Sume says, is he a god? Ghostbusters clip. When someone asks if you're a god, you say yes!
Or is he actually winning? Of course he's winning. I'm on his side. Don't you know?
If you are someone who really wants Republicans to win, but you're a pessimist, you're probably listening to Mike Adams and Alex Jones right now. The whole world's gonna get destroyed.
No, I tend not to listen to crazy people, unironically. Vast Lunacy says, God sounds like a bad Ron Swanson impression.
Though if you are a very intelligent person and an optimist, you're listening to Trump, you're listening to Mike Lindell, you're listening to Lynn Wood, you know.
If you're very intelligent, you listen to former disgraced presidents, generals, and failed pillow salesmen. Cool.
You know it's all going to turn out right. And then if you're a good researcher, then you can tell people, just at the top of your head, 15 ways Trump won in the last year. 15 huge wins. And yes, that is me. I'm going to give you 15 ways Trump won enormously in the last year. 15 huge major wins. And then, in my next video, I'm going to give you another 15. Because
wow, 30 whole wins. I'm so excited.
there's at least 30 here. Though my next video is probably going to talk about the censored 15, because I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube. But if you want a great video showing how we're winning and the narrative
I'm excited for that Rumble video.
is collapsing, check out Awaken with JP. Go to his YouTube channel.
Awaken with JP is another horribly unfunny chud channel. I have Awaken with JP on my list for Chud Watch. I never watch him though because I don't feel like there's enough material. He's just obnoxious and unfunny. And there's only so many times you can really say, that's not funny, when you're talking about something and commentating upon it.
And
Procagom, thanks for gifting a tier 1 sub to Sky Comet Fallen.
And go to, I think it's a third video, recent video called 16 Reasons the Narrative is Collapsing. It's hilarious because we are winning so much. You just have to watch or listen to the right information and you will see how we're winning. JP breaks it down. The narrative is collapsing and Trump dodged their attacks. He protected us from their attacks. He boomeranged their attacks so it damaged them instead. And so we're winning so many ways. So let's start.
He's literally just listing the different ways he has internally tried to justify his conspiracy theories over time. So this will be a fun one. Darker White says, if you were intelligent, you'd be A, not optimistic, and B, understand that our political system is all a fucking pageant. Case in point. Oh god, what is this one? This Republican big oil attorney sent an environmental lawyer to jail as retaliation, so she gets rewarded by Biden. Biden renominates Trump pick and GOP donor Jennifer Reargarden as federal judge. Lovely. Don't you love our system? Woo! The donor class are the real people who make the decisions. Hydrate.
Start with number one. Number one way Trump is winning is that he protected us from the vaccines.
Trump has literally told people to get the vaccines multiple times, and he hates supporters like Peter who support Trump but speak ill of the vaccines because Trump desperately wants to take credit for them because he's an egotist. It's actually pretty funny. It's almost like you shouldn't build your entire base out of idiots.
He rushed them so that they couldn't be mandated, and now the way that things are set up and we still have freedom to choose, especially with the Supreme Court shutting down the vaccine mandates.
They shut down the vaccine mandates for large businesses. It is still on for medical workers, people who work in the medical industry. On top of that, individual private businesses are allowed to impose their own if they so choose. So, for instance, Carhartt, or whatever they're called, they make jackets and sort of outdoorsy stuff. They are still doing it. Other companies are still doing it. At this point, I don't know what the vaccination rate is, but it's a majority of people at this point. So, it is what it is.
We now have a choice. Now, it is true what they said, that if they did not shut down this vaccine mandate, if Trump did not put these 3 Supreme Court justices, our country would be Australia right now. And
we'd all be upside down? Oh no, we'd be Australia. I'd have to actually have good reasons to be afraid of spiders.
They are
around 70% for the full country. Is that number including, what is it now, children under 5 can't get vaccinated? I don't know.
The people who are literally protecting our country from becoming Australia. So
if I find a single fucking kangaroo in my yard, Peter, I swear to God, we'll be eating kangaroo burgers for dinner.
That is a big win. The fact the Supreme Court, sided with this and the whole vaccine thing is collapsing. Now, if vaccines could be mandated, if the Supreme Court said yes, that would kind of be maybe the end of the world. That's why
Peter, vaccines are still mandated for all medical workers, everyone in the military, tons of people in private businesses, and 70% of people in America have been fully vaccinated, and I don't know what the numbers are for boosted, I'm boosted, Baja's boosted, etc., etc. Like, Peter, most people are vaccinated at this point. You are the outlier here. El Manado says, would America fare better against the emus? I mean, a lot of Americans have guns, so probably.
It's Team Trump said checkmate to that action. They were checkmated.
You think if I asked Peter how one gets a checkmate in chess, he would be able to answer that question? Because I'm not even a chess person, but I know what a checkmate is. You think Peter does, or does he just, use it? It's just weird to me that he did it in air quotes. It's like he doesn't know what it means. Sky Comet Fallen says, I work for Kroger. They have a mandate, and their health insurance puts a $50 a month extra fee on anti-vaxxers. If you prove you're vaxxed, you get $100 and don't have to test nor pay a premium. I just got my $100. Rad. Yeah, a lot of companies are doing stuff like that. So even without the mandate, which honestly I thought the Supreme Court's justification for denying the mandate was incredibly stupid, but what are you going to do? The Supreme Court's dog shit now. I say now as if they haven't made terrible decisions in the past, but you know what I mean. Either way, still people are being incentivized to get the vaccine and disincentivized to not do it through their places of work, through various places like concert venues, forcing people to show vaccine cards and stuff. I hope that pressure continues and more people get vaccinated and boosted as time goes on. Yes, Alden Rin says her college required boosters. Correct. I'm pretty sure Baja's institution of higher learning that she works at is requiring it as well for students as well as faculty. She'd have to give more specifics on that, though. Yeah, a lot of places are requiring it. Or at minimum incentivizing you to get it.
We stopped their plan. So this is very exciting. The vaccine mandates get shutting down. This is a huge win, but there's a lot more coming. So win number 2, inflation. What? Inflation's a win? Yes, because inflation's happening now. Peter, you don't understand. Inflation's bad. It's always bad. No, it's not.
I mean, it's generally bad for people because usually wage growth is dwarfed by inflation, and thus people's buying power in reality goes down. So even if you got like a 3% raise this year, it's getting outpaced by inflation, so your salary is effectively lower than it was the year before. This isn't a United States state-specific thing, though. This is a global issue. Inflation is rising across every country in the world, and it has a lot to do with supply chain issues. It has a lot to do with COVID. It has a lot to do with the Fed, because a lot of, basically the world's main global currency is United States dollars. And the Fed, in order to help monetary supply during COVID, reduced the reserve minimum for banks so they could loan out more of their money. In order to get more cash in circulation, in order to help prop things up during the worst of COVID prior to the vaccines in 2020 and 2021. And this, of course, is creating a wave of inflation. We knew this was going to happen. It sucks. It's shitty. And people's wages absolutely should be raised to reflect this inflation, but we kind of knew it was going to happen. Tucker White says, wait, we almost became Australia, a country with some of the most walkable cities on the pale blue dot, excellent public transit, and airlines that aren't slightly above average on a good day. Hannah faints. Felix Night Owl says, I recently received my student visa. I'm supposed to be going to school in Australia. Literally yesterday they closed their borders again. Now I'm in limbo again, waiting and waiting for them to open up. They are crazy with this shit. Australia is way too apocalyptic about this pandemic. I would prefer an overreaction to an underreaction. Let me put it that way. Probably Cthulhu says emus and the birds like them, ostriches, cassowaries, and rhees, are terrifying, and they are the only animal at the zoo I work at I refuse to go near. I leave them for the newbies. Tucker White says, oh wait, I forgot, Australia is home to just about every killer animal on the planet. Point retracted.
Hold on. Yes, inflation is bad in a sense, but listen to what's actually going on.
Why would Peter ever be worried about inflation? He doesn't have a job.
Inflation, look, it was going to happen anyway. The monetary system's collapsing. Inflation was supposed to happen under Trump to make Trump look bad.
I mean, there was inflation under Trump, especially during COVID, but like, what? Peter, this is a global phenomena that we knew was going to happen. It's not out of nowhere, and anyone who says it is out of nowhere is either stupid or was lying.
Protected our country from inflation and made sure that it happened under Biden to make Biden look bad.
That's true. It does help Peter. His debts are less now.
Hits them instead. Here's another one. The economy is number 3. The economy is collapsing. That's good. I know you're saying. Economic collapse, that's bad. But remember, even Bill Maher said, I hope the economy crashes under Trump because then, we can win easily the election, right? They wanted it to collapse under Trump.
I would prefer the economy to not collapse ever. Like, don't get me wrong, I want the system that we are under to be better than the system we have now. But no, I don't want the economy to collapse because that's a bad thing for people who work within it. It's bad. I don't want anyone to struggle, Peter, unlike you fucking sociopath. And yeah, Bill Maher's an asshole, so.
Trump did it? No, he kept it up, he kept it up, he kept it up, even the pandemic. And then now that everything is going downhill really fast, it's going downhill under Biden, making Biden look bad, which wakes up Democrats. See how we dodged that and boomeranged it over them? Then you have
Peter, it wasn't boomeranged. What are you talking about? Biden's just doing a really shitty job. Don't get me wrong, I think he's doing better than Trump, but he's still dog shit and basically a tool for the establishment. We knew this. We knew this going in.
number 4, right? Narrative is collapsing. Donald Trump Jr. said this recently. Their narrative is collapsing because people are waking up. For example, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, his podcast gets on average 11 million views. And he has people on there saying the truth about vaccines, saying the truth about the pandemic.
Joe Rogan's a fucking idiot. And if you listen to Joe Rogan and take him seriously, you are also a fucking idiot.
And just for comparison's sake, 11 million views makes Joe Rogan the most important, I guess, news person in the whole country, even maybe the whole world. Because
Joe Rogan is not a news person. Joe Rogan is a meathead who sits behind a microphone and talks about dumb shit and gives his uninformed dog shit opinions on things, Peter.
Tucker Carlson, who gets the second most amount of views, he only gets 3.25 million on average per show. Look at this. Look at this graph over here. I'm pointed right over here. And everyone else doesn't
Oh, you can hear a baby crying in the background.
compare at all. So what we have is
Tucker Carlson is also legally not news. True.
a situation where Joe Rogan, who's honest, who's telling the truth, who's not doesn't have an agenda, he's not trying to manipulate anyone, who's just trying to get the truth out there, very good person,
Joe Rogan doesn't have an agenda. Okay.
high integrity. He is getting more views than a bunch of the other, news show talk hosts combined. So we are waking it up. And if they can't brainwash us with propaganda with the mainstream media, then the narrative is going to collapse because most people are actually listening to Joe Rogan, they listen to YouTube, Facebook. They're going for alternative news sources, and a lot of it ends up being just the common person who doesn't even consider themselves to be like a news researcher or, news talking host. So this is where everything shifted, and because it shifted to people who are telling the truth, mostly people who are telling the truth, the narrative is collapsing. So that's huge. Number 5 is the mainstream media is collapsing. I saw that
This statistic is funny because Peter is dumb and never looks into what the statistics actually mean. He just sees numbers that make him feel good, and then he's happy about it. So he'll say this, and then we'll talk about it.
prime time for views on CNN went down 94% in the last year.
Okay, so Peter says CNN's primetime viewership went down 94% in the last year. Chat, I know the answer to this. Chat, I assume you're all smarter than Peter. Chat, tell me, why do you think over 1 year, between January of last year and January of this year, CNN's primetime viewership dropped almost in half? Let's go, chat. Who can answer the question better than Peter? Sky Comet Fallen says, Joe Rogan, isn't that the idiot that bored a group of school children to death with a badly written creepy children's book about a walrus boy who was corrupted by the SJWs? I think that was a different guy, wasn't it? Let's see. What are the answers from chat? No elections. Trumpcation. Because Trump ivermectin Q. It's not an election year. Election drama. No election. Wasn't there an election? Something like that. Not an election year. Election. No coup attempt this year. Good job, chat. You're all smarter than Peter. Peter, this same news story comes out from right-wing news sources every year after an election year about CNN or MSNBC or whatever. They're like, oh my god, did you see how much CNN/MSNBC's ratings are down from last year? Yeah, the ratings for news channels are higher in election years, especially last election, when shortly after the election, there was a fucking insurrection attempt by a bunch of dumb QAnoners. Peter, you stupid bitch! Think for 5 seconds about the context of the statistics you're quoting, and understand what they mean. Walking Trash says, who cares about CNN? I haven't paid attention to them in literally years. I agree, I don't watch CNN either. Like, who the fuck cares? But Peter's willfully misinterpreting statistics to make himself feel better about his entire worldview being fucking wrong.
In other words, their big money-making time where CNN makes the most money got 94% less views. That's like, basically their views disappeared. So this is not just a one-time thing. Like, a lot of these mainstream medias are going bankrupt, they're going, or on the verge of bankruptcy, and they're just collapsing. And CNN was just sold because they were like, oh, this is worthless, sell it for something. And so the whole...
I'm sure CNN was worthless. If that's true and CNN was sold, let's see how worthless CNN was. CNN sold. News. Do 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 do. John Malone says Warner Media Discovery getting rid of CNN would be the coward's way out. So that's not about that. What the Warner Media Discovery deal means for CNN and Jeff Zucker. 25 years ago,
we're talking about this
my God,
deal
please stop.
on a...
CNN is set to change corporate hands for the second time in just a few years as AT&T spins off all of Warner Media in a transaction with Zaslav's Discovery Inc. Under the plan announced Monday, Warner Media and Discovery will be stitching together to create a streaming and cable service powerhouse. Oh, so they're merging. They're merging two companies. They didn't sell CNN. They're merging two companies, which involves the sale of corporate shares in order to merge the two companies into one. Once again, Peter misunderstands something. That should be on the bingo card. Sky Come Up Fallen says, Peter, young people don't watch TV, dumbass. Yeah, CNN is part of a larger umbrella corporation that is being merged with another company, so as a package, that company is being sold to a bigger company that is going to merge it with their own stuff. That's Lunacy says, I think Peter is equating ratings on television with views and monetization on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that's not a one-to-one. Yeah.
Whole mainstream media is collapsing because you cannot continue,
It's the same merger that also has all the Snyder people thinking Discovery will magically resurrect the Snyderverse. Oh, God. Did I see One American News wasn't able to renew its contract with DirecTV, so they're probably going to shut down. Oh, thank God. I hate them.
lying to people and expect to get their trust and attention when there's a bunch of other people who are for free giving you the truth. So why would people pay to listen to lies when they could get truth for free?
Peter watches my videos, I'm pretty sure, which is understandable. I watch his and comment on them. Makes sense. You ever wonder if when Peter makes a claim in his video and then I spend 5 seconds Googling something and show that he has a vast misunderstanding of what's actually going on because he gets all his information from, like, GreatAwakening.win or other QAnon-type forums full of the dumbest people in the country? You think he ever goes, shit, I'm wrong about a lot of things. Hannah sure does point out I'm wrong a lot, like, all the time, and it only takes her 5 seconds to do so for each claim. Why don't I do that? Do you think even a little bit of self-reflection gets through his head? Just wondering. Peter, if you're watching this, do you ever consider why it's so easy for me to, like, look something up that you claim and prove that it's not true, or you're misinterpreting something you've heard? Because you're wrong. It's because you're bad at this. Daddy Sume with 50 bits says no. Fair.
Such as this video. So it's absolutely collapsing. Mainstream media is collapsing, and Trump hasn't even released True Social yet. That is huge.
They're collapsing under the weight of gigantic channels like Peter's with 2.09 thousand subscribers. Half of which are probably people who watch him because they think he's funny and not because they think he's informative. KBS666 says, hell no.
6, Biden's approval rating is just collapsing. Now, to be fair, I think this Rasmussen poll that says that 33% of the country approves of Biden is actually false, and that you gotta like take off like 15, 20 points to get his real approval rating.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Rasmussen is a reputable poller. However, their polls tend to skew between 2 and 5 points further right than the polling average. So I'm not saying they're not a source you should look at, but just bear that in mind. Biden's approval rating is really low. Understandably, Biden is dog shit. I still think he's better than Trump, but his approval is absolute dog shit right now. But for Peter to claim that Rasmussen is overstating Biden's approval rating as opposed to the opposite, which is almost always true because the way they sample tends to skew more right and older, is hilarious and further shows that Peter doesn't know the context of anything he talks about. Everyone who knows about any sort of polling and polling averages knows that Rasmussen skews like 2, 3 to 5 points further right than the polling average. It's where they are. It's how they sample things. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but it is how it works, and that's how you look at their data points. As well as you can look at other polling places that tend to skew 3 to 5 points to the left, and that's how you get averages, right? But Peter looking at a polling place that historically we know samples further right than reality. We see this based on their predictions going into elections and then the actual results coming out of elections, and saying he thinks that they are 15 points further left than reality, which, by the way, is way outside the margin of error anyway for polling. At that point, it wouldn't even be a polling error. It would be outright fraud on the part of the pollster. Peter has no idea what he's fucking talking about general polling, margins of error, or what Rasmussen even fucking is. It's nuts. Wagrode says, even my 70-year-old parents have cut the cord. Talk about boomer. Skycomet Fallen says, why do right-wingers always think that because we hate Biden, that means we regret voting for him? I don't know. I really don't. H-Baird says, if Biden did all the same things he's done just 3 weeks earlier, he'd probably have a better approval rating. Yeah.
Which is like...
Fox News has Biden at 47%. I assume that's where it's ranging. Probably between 44 and 47. I don't know that to be a fact, but I haven't looked at 538 recently. 538, I don't like Nate Silver, but they're pretty good for finding polling averages. They're a good resource for that. Nate Silver's political commentary, though, I think is dog shit. But he tends to get decent at his actual polling model and his modeling for, like, elections going into them and stuff.
Like 10, 15% maybe. And so even if it is 33%, which I know it isn't because these polls...
It's around 43 on 538. Yeah, that sounds about right.
They're fixed. It's going downhill. It's like one of the worst of any president ever, and it's just
so still better than Trump because Trump had the lowest.
Gonna keep going downhill. Even CNN is
hydrate
attacking Biden now. Like they're going after Biden. I think it's all like, oh, attack Kamala and Biden, and then Hillary will run. She will be better. So it's just funny how Biden's, you know, I guess
if they legit try and run Hillary again in 2024, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm absolutely, like, are we really just gonna do, like, 2016 2 Electric Boogaloo and have fucking even older Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump up there? Really? Why would we do this? Stop. Just stop.
They're like, Biden's the man. He's gonna do great.
Biden's average is well above Trump's. That doesn't shock me. They're both pretty bad, but I still think Biden's better than Trump by a decent margin. I don't think Biden's going to start a nuclear war for no reason. That was always a concern of mine with Trump, just because of his utter incompetency.
Great job at, you know, destroying the country, and then everyone's like, I don't like this guy, even the Democrats.
There was a Quinnipiac poll last week that had him at 33%. I thought the 33 was a poll that specifically asked how he's doing on COVID response. Was it general approval? Because that's incredibly low, but, you know.
I was like, I don't like this guy. So it's great that people are trusting him less, and we're all in a way uniting for how much we do not like Biden. Even the Democrats are like, yeah, I don't like him anymore. I'm becoming a Trumper. So
No, Peter. Just because I don't like Biden doesn't mean I like Trump. The world is not binary like that. I can dislike Biden and still dislike Trump way more. How is that a hard concept to understand? Dr. White says, let's just split the difference and hand both Trump and Biden over to the Hague.
Oh, that's very exciting. All right, reason number 7. The pandemic.
Two Man, thanks for 18 months, says, you know what would get Biden's approval rating up? Canceling student debt like he could at any point. I agree. At this point, I'm wondering if they're strategically waiting to do it right before midterms, or if he's genuinely this dog shit. Because, like, if it was a strategic thing, still a dick move. Still a fucking dick move. But at least I could be like, I understand why you're doing that. If he's just like, fuck you, that's stupid. That's a strategically stupid move and a dick move. Worst of both worlds.
Is ending. This one's my favorite because it's creating a lot of stress for people, and it's ending. You see, these shutdowns, they're lifting. You know, the vaccines. There's people. A study just came out of Israel. They're like, oh, the efficacy of the 4th shot is not effective. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
It's not, Peter. The vaccines, again, aren't as effective against newer variants because they were developed for the original COVID-19 strain, but they're still, even if you get a breakthrough case, going to prevent you, hopefully, from getting a severe case and going to the hospital. And the reason things are lifting is because most people have been vaccinated. Most people have been vaccinated, Peter.
I do know if that's true or not. But this is the stuff that's coming out of Israel. There's people saying all these different things about the vaccines. And in the UK, they're shutting down using vaccines. They're stopping the mass thing. They're stopping the shutdowns.
Again, because most people are vaccinated, Peter.
There's a lot of countries.
I know you can still get COVID. It's less likely with vaccines, though, and your actual symptoms are going to be far easier if you are vaccinated. EON80 says, honestly, we should give up. Trump self-funded his campaign, and we had to borrow $10 billion from George Soros. And it's a lie that Trump self-funded his campaign, just so you know. That's not true. He started to, and then that fell apart fucking immediately, and he got a bunch of corporate donations. Borrow $10 million from George Soros, and even with Biden being a left-wing puppet controlled by Hannah and Jake, his approval is down. Come on, people. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Corn. It's a signal.
Who are basically being like, the pandemic is over. We're not going to try to control people anymore. We're not trying to push our agenda anymore. We lost. Now we got to change the focus. And the whole reason of this pandemic, other than the, the advantages of having a pandemic in terms of the Democrats, but the other main advantage,
Peter, there are no advantages to having a fucking pandemic. You stupid bitch.
is that they want to collapse the monetary system, right?
No one wants to collapse the monetary system except maybe crypto bros. Maybe them.
And the pandemic is an excuse. Well, it's collapsing because of the pandemic. But now...
That's just reality. Things are going badly economically because of the pandemic. That's a direct, causative link that you can look at, Peter, and understand why. Again, there's this, thing about people saying, oh, the Fed printed a bunch of money. Not really what happened. When they do stuff like that, what they're actually doing is lowering the reserve limit that banks have. So, basically, the federal government, or the Fed, rather, sets a reserve limit on banks, so they have to have X number of liquidity on them at all times for whatever reason. But when they need to put more cash into the economy for whatever reason, they will lower the reserve limit that's necessary for banks. So banks will be more incentivized to loan money out to people for whatever reason, businesses or whatever. And that effectively increases the amount of cash that's out there in the general economy, right? They did that in order to stem issues that were happening because of the pandemic, to basically try and like plug holes in the economy that were happening because people weren't at work, etc., etc. On top of that, of course, there was also federal money going to people via paycheck protection loans, the stimulus checks, everything like that, which increased sort of the liquid money supply that was in the country. That inevitably leads to inflation, Peter. It was a band-aid, but it's a band-aid that eventually you have to rip off, and yeah, it causes issues, but it's better than if the band-aid wasn't there at all and we just let it bleed. Does that make sense? H. Baird says, the proper pronunciation of collapse is democratize.
And they can't now. They're trying. The central bankers are collapsing the whole monetary system, and they wanted the pandemic to shield them, be like, "Oh, it's the pandemic. It's not us." But now, without the pandemic in the narrative, and the pandemic shutting down, and people aren't scared of these viruses anymore, and people don't want to get vaccines anymore, and everyone can go where they want now. The pandemic is ending, and as the monetary system continues to collapse, people are not going to point at the pandemic. They're going to point at the central banks, and they're going to take the blame. So this is huge, that the pandemic is ending, and that it cannot be used as, wool to pull over people's eyes anymore. People are going to know why it's ending. It's the central bankers. They're crashing the system.
Peter, why would people who are in control of the central banks want to collapse the thing that gives them immense power over the economy and politics? Think for 5 seconds. If you are high up in the Federal Reserve and you have power over banks all over the country and how they deal with their monetary supply, why would you collapse the very system that gives you the power you have? That doesn't even make sense as an evil plan. Tucker White says, wait a fuck, you and Jake control Biden, and all we got for Amtrak is $80 billion?
What the fuck?
I'm sorry, we'll do better next time. Vote in 2022. Killjoy says, how many of these terms do you think Peter understands? Hard to say. EO80 says, Wall Street does not care about the pandemic. The recent fall has been because of quantitative tightening and global risk aversion. This is my area of expertise. This guy is an idiot. Gotcha. Yeah, I know the Fed was also planning on, I don't know if they still are, but they were planning on increasing, why can't I think of the word, interest rates, which would tighten the belts of banks in terms of how much and who they're willing to loan out to. So yeah, they're trying to control inflation, basically.
To put in a different system that's even worse, but it's not going to work. Reason number 8 that we've been winning so much.
I just want to say I'm really glad I got my mortgage like 3 or 4 years ago, and I got a fixed rate. So
much. A record number of Democrats and rhinos are not seeking re-
Peter, I should explain. A mortgage is a thing that you have when you buy a house and stop living with your parents. I know, it's complicated.
Election. Now, remember, we were told by Team Trump that people who were not seeking re-election were put into submission, which means on some level, I guess, they must have cut a deal with Trump to behave and not seek re-election so we could, sweep the House and, gain full control of it. So this is really, really exciting, the fact that these people have been put into submission and we're just going to do a huge red wave that's going to take the House, this year. So that's super exciting, and that these people are stepping down. And
then your parents get older and they live with you instead. Not mine! Being an alcoholic and terrible parents is not good for you. Because my parents have saved no money throughout the entirety of their lives. I think they were just hoping I would deal with them. But we've gone no contact, friends, so I don't know what my parents plan on doing with their retirement, but it's probably not happening. Don't be a shitty parent. It'll end badly for you. That's all I'm saying.
This is a very good sign. Very, very good sign. I think there's 28 or 29 between rhinos and Democrats, basically deep state puppets, who are or stepping down, and is expected to pass 30. So very exciting, very good news. This would only happen if Trump is winning. Because if the Democrats are winning, if the deep state's winning, if Biden's winning, they would run on their platforms and they would stay in the elections. And
or many Democrats are really old and they're retiring. Or they see that the political landscape is shifting and younger voters want more progressive Democrats than them. There's a variety of reasons, Peter. I don't know. I haven't looked into it specifically. But you are putting the cart before the horse on this one. You're literally shoving your worldview into something rather than letting what is happening inform your worldview.
You know, win again, right? This is what they would do. But they've lost all hope, or most likely, they know who the real alpha is. Trump. He is the leader.
Trump is the real alpha. Peter, cease.
He's in charge. He has the power, and he put them in submission. That's most likely.
You want to hear it again?
Or, most likely, they know who the real alpha is. Trump. He is...
Ooh, Daddy Trump. Breed me, alpha. Why is Peter like this? Eoin80 says about 150-ish entities have taken out about 3.2 trillion in fixed-rate loans, 0.05 in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, that makes sense. Trying to get in before the rate hikes.
Is the leader. He is in charge. He has the power, and he put them in submission. That's most likely what happened. And so this is a great sign that we are winning and Trump is winning. So I'm super excited about it. Reason number 9, propaganda, push, fail. They cannot continue to push the propaganda anymore. It doesn't work. They cannot do it. And no matter how hard they try, it is not going to work because we're awakening so fast. They just can't do it. And even with all the resistance and all the awakenings happening and how they were so resistant to the propaganda now, most people, that's without True Social coming out. So the propaganda is failing a lot, and True Social is not even out yet. Once True Social comes out, the mainstream media...
I'm excited for Truth Social. We might have a whole stream on that day just to see what's up with Truth Social. I'll have to make a burner email. I'm not getting on their fucking mailing list, but that's gonna be interesting. Guys, how much furry porn is gonna be on there? It's basically going to be that, for one day at least, it's going to be that, what is that site? Oh god, I don't know furry things. You guys have posted it before. Don't actually link it here, because I'll have to delete your message, but it's like and then some numbers. E621. Gotcha, yeah.
They're going to tank worse, the area is going to collapse faster, and the propaganda push is going to fail more intensely, because... you cannot have a website that has all the truth on it, where everyone's going for truth, even the Democrats are going to truth, and it's become this huge, gigantic thing, like the #1 source of truth on all the internet, and then...
it's probably Wikipedia. Wikipedia is probably the #1 source of truth on the internet. If we're talking about factual information, probably Wikipedia.
Try to convince people of something that's not true. It just can't work. So the propaganda push is feeling tremendous.
Ironically, Wikipedia is also probably one of the #1 sources of misinformation, but yeah. There's a lot of information on Wikipedia. Cult of Cautious Optimism says it's ridiculous how none of these wins are even close to objective. It's all vague, indistinct platitudes. It's all he has. He has to construct something. Otherwise, the whole narrative collapses. Adia Blue says, speaking of E621, as a member of furry convention staff, please sleep, eat, shower. Please shower at any convention. I've heard this is an issue. Shower! Why are you not showering at conventions? You're around so many people all day. Shower! Just shower! Wash your ass! How hard is it?
Now, and is basically game over. GG once February 21st comes, which is in a month from now. So
where did Parler go? I think it still exists in some form. I'm not positive, though. It's definitely not as popular as it was when it first came out, because it got taken down for a while. So the denizens sort of scattered to other right-wing social media stuff, like Telegram and Gab. If that's still a thing, and some of the other ones. You forgot the bits last time? Oh, Jesus. This is just the clip of the thing, I know.
He is.
Ooh, woo, Daddy Trump. Breed me, Alpha.
He is.
Good Lord.
If their propaganda, like, they can't brainwash people very well now, and Truth Social's about to come out, oh, it's over. Don't worry about people being brainwashed. Some people will be brainwashed forever. That's just it's unfortunate. But the fact is, it's failing for them. They can't brainwash us anymore, and Truth Social is about to come out, and any power that they had is going to wipe out pretty much all that power to brainwash people. Because once people can say the truth and it's magnified.
80 Blue says the number 621 refers to rules attending a convention, 6 hours of sleep, 2 meals, 1 shower every day. Okay.
By Trump and all the patriots, and it's a great source of truth. People are just going to go to that Truth website, Truth Social, and it's just going to explode the awakening. We're going to awaken so fast, and there's going to be almost like a worldwide immunity.
No, February 21st is when the Truth Social Trump thing is coming out.
To their propaganda push-fail, which is great. And it's great because we're in an information war, and they can only win if they can brainwash us. They can't brainwash us if we are awakened by Truth Social with Trump.
Peter, you've already been brainwashed by a gun cult and Trump. I think it's been washed enough. If you wash it anymore, I think it'll start to chafe.
Trump with Team God, if we're awakened, then it's basically impossible to win. Because we have the numbers. And so, you know, it is what it is. If we have the numbers and we're not believing what they're saying and we're not doing what they want us to do, they can't win. It's impossible. So, major win. Number 10. Durham is going after the Bidens, the Clintons. They're going after a bunch of criminals. And legally speaking, I've talked about this before, Biden does have the power to shut down Durham, but he hasn't. And you know for a
Peter, innocent people don't generally feel the need to try and shut down investigations into them, which is why it was really fucked up when Trump tried to do the same. The thing you're describing is a thing Trump tried to do about investigations surrounding him because he's corrupt and fucking guilty. Procagom says he can't wash his own brain. It's too smooth. Soap runs right off it.
fact, the deep state would make that chess piece move. If they could take out that knight, Durham, and just take him out, you know, shut down his power to go after all these people who, you know, who committed horrible crimes.
I gotta fix my bangs again.
They would have done it. So, for whatever reason, you know, I just don't, honestly, I don't think that he has that power legally because of devolution, and Trump has some presidential power, I think. That's my theory, but either way,
Trump does not have any power.
Reason, that Biden can't
presidential.
shut down Durham. Great. Go ahead, Durham. Take them all down. Biden's not going to stop you. Hooray for us. That's a great sign that justice is arriving and that they can't stop it. Reason number 11, CEO resignations. What do you have? Bill Gates, you have Amazon, you have Twitter, you have Microsoft, you have so many companies, the most powerful CEOs in the world, where they're stepping down or resigning or moving to a different position. And hundreds of these happened under Trump. And even after Biden was president, they're still happening. So
Bill Gates, I don't know if he's been active in Microsoft for like years. Although I don't know if you're talking about Bill Gates. Did he say Bill Gates or did he just say Microsoft? Jeff Bezos is stepping down as the CEO of Amazon to take a more hands-on role at Blue Origin. Jack Dorsey, I don't know why he decided to leave, but honestly, I wouldn't want to be the CEO of Twitter either. It's kind of a nightmare. I spend a lot of time there. This guy come up fallen says, did he just say devolution like a 1960s creationist? Devolution in the QAnon community is a concept that they basically think is a plan that was set into motion to give presidential powers to people other than Biden. It's a conspiracy theory bullshit thing. It's basically just what they call a secret plan to keep Trump in power.
these people do not give up their power.
Yeah, Bill Gates stepped down shortly after the OG Xbox. Okay.
If they have the choice. They have been forced to give up these powerful positions submitted by Trump. That's my theory. That's what I believe. So I mean, how else would you explain all these, hundreds and hundreds of the most powerful CEOs in the world basically giving up all this power to be?
Because they're ultra rich and probably either retiring, because tons of CEOs are old at this point, so they're either retiring or moving on to different opportunities, as happens all the time in the corporate world.
The CEO of the country, sorry, of the company. Think about it. So this is a huge sign that even though Biden is president, Trump is still winning. He's still submitting these CEOs. Another reason we are winning. 12. And this one is funny. I can't go into details about this so much. Maybe I will in my next video, but they are backtracking. They are literally, they've said a whole bunch of things about the pandemic, about vaccines and masks and stuff like that. And now that they know that the narrative is collapsing and it's going to look really bad that they said all these things, they're starting to shift what they're backtracking. They're like, well, actually, this is not that effective. Actually, this is not that good. Actually, this thing is good. They're backtracking a little bit because they know that as the narrative collapses, people are going to be like, hey, you said a whole bunch of stuff that aren't true. And they'll be like, well, yeah, I learned the truth. That's why I started saying different things later on.
Felix Night Owl says, we really live in an upside-down world. These people like Clinton aren't under investigation, but he's thinking somehow Trump is gonna get him. He conversely thinks Trump is godlike, yet he's under multiple investigations. What the fuck? Yep. Psychotropic Thunder says, Jack left Twitter because of something having to do with corporate legal stuff, if I remember correctly. He's still the CEO of a different company. Yeah, that makes sense.
I learned the truth just like you, and people are like, I'm not going to buy it. But it's funny that you see these people saying all this stuff for like nearly 2 years, and all of a sudden the last month they're like, actually I changed my mind, this doesn't work, this
I don't even know what he's talking about in regard to this, so I can't make statements on it.
doesn't work, and they're starting to literally say what the conspiracy theorists have been saying. So it's just funny how they have to backtrack now that the narrative is collapsing, and we get to watch them squirm like, well, actually, I don't really believe that, and with new information and changing my mind. It's like,
Peter, I don't know again specifically what you're saying, but yes, when you get new information, it should inform your beliefs. That's how normal people think. That's how rational people think. If you get new information and it contradicts what you had already believed, then you change what you believe. That's the reasonable thing to do. EO80 says, we should all really chip in for Olive Garden cards for Bill Gates and other billionaires. Make sure they have some meat on their bones, you know? Cult of Cautious Optimism says, it's so sad how the scientific process is lost on people like Peter. New information changes our policy on pandemic. That's a sign of honesty, not deception. Procagam says, seriously though, is Peter on something? He seems more crazed than normal. Yeah, hopium.
like, whatever, no one believes you guys anymore. So,
Have a good night, Rin.
they believe Trump. They believe the Patriots. That's what they believe. Reason number 13, election integrity laws are being passed. Now, this is huge because if the deep state really had control, stuff like this wouldn't be happening, but it is happening because we do have a significant amount of power. And if we didn't, how is it we're passing all these, election integrity laws and everything and making everything more secure? So that is very exciting, and that is more evidence that we are indeed winning. Reason number 14, the New World Order and, their vaccine passports and all this stuff, the chips they wanted all money to be digital and be in a chip, and then you have to get your vaccine passports to prove, and you have to get out. They want to be like Australia. Like, you can't even leave your house unless you're vaccinated. You can't buy anything unless you have a chip in you.
Wait, does he think people in Australia have chips in their bodies right now? Rosalind Faye, thanks for gifting a sub. And Sky Comet Fallen says, make sure billionaires have meat on their bones. Are we finally going to eat the rich? That is the joke.
This was their plan, and it's just absolutely collapsing. The New World Order plan was this. They wanted, billions of people to die. They wanted to microchip everyone that was left. They wanted all our money to be on there. They wanted us to be vaccinated like crazy, and they wanted there to be a collapse of the economy because of the pandemic, and then everyone would get kind of addicted to socialism. Government would be like the daddy figure that gives you all the money. You don't have to do...
Ooh, woo, daddy government. Please, give me that fucking... I can't even with this shit. I feel like the ooh woo joke has overstayed its welcome.
Work, so now we're...
Are these New World Order chips ranch or honey mustard? Oh, I hope they're salt and vinegar. EO180 says, reason number 15, Burger King foot lettuce.
attached to socialism. We need the government. We're dependent on it, and everything collapses. Middle class is destroyed, and then you just start wiping everyone out. Now that the U.S. economy is weak and the military has been weakened, China becomes a new super.
Peter, how would any of that even make sense? I say this a lot, and I want to put this on a t-shirt, because it applies to a lot of the conspiracy theories that I look at. It doesn't even make sense as an evil plan. To what end, Peter? Why? Who would benefit? Why would they do this?
Power from the New World Order, and they start controlling everything. China, in my opinion, is being puppeteered by the New World Order. And so, if this is true, basically wanting to kill everyone and control everyone, and this was the New World Order plan, vaccine passports, all this stuff, is not working. And the only thing of their plan that they want to happen, which is the New World Order plan of like collapsing the whole economy, that will happen. The monetary system will collapse, and they wanted to give you guys the Great Reset, which is like gonna eliminate your debt and make you so rich, but it's really
Peter, that's not a real thing.
the opposite. It was put you in way more debt. And
Peter, you're already like $60,000 in debt. Does it matter if you're $1 million or $1 billion in debt? You're already in more debt than you will ever pay off in your entire life, considering you do this for a living and you have 2,000 subscribers. So does it really matter if, like, you were $60,000 in debt, which you currently are, or $1 million? Just saying.
Wreck you financially. And so the
Atheist Peroni with 200 bits says, I know it's all BS and made up nonsense, but I still want to hear one of these nutters explain how the microchips implanted in us are powered. They require electricity to run, right? Explain the power source, Peter. They'd probably say body heat or something.
And they also wanted to blame everything on the pandemic. It's not going to be blamed on the pandemic. The economic system will collapse, but Trump will have a new system in place to be way better, and then people have to choose. They want
Yes, the genius Trump will invent a whole new economic system to rival Alexander Hamilton himself. Tucker White says, serious question, what reason would China have to destroy the US at this point? They make shit tons of money off us, and we owe them a shit ton more. Yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Felix Night Owl says, so what is your favorite chip, like brand? What's your favorite dip? Probably Ruffles. I like the ruffly ones. What's my favorite dip? Pizza dip. Have you ever had pizza dip? I like pizza dip. Mr. Fred Rogers says, I'm $330,000 in debt. Peter's debt is child's play. Oof, sorry. 84% to level 1 on the hype train.
the Great Reset, which is coming from the people that they don't trust much, or Trump, who's saving the world, who they trust, who they love, and he's got a new system, a new monetary system that is very trustworthy. So that's what's going to happen. The New World Order is over. You hear that? It's over. If there's any of you guys in the New World Order who are supporting it, or any of the bad guys watching this, guys, it's game over for you guys.
Peter, you have 2,000 subscribers. Even if there was a deep state cabal, none of them would have seen your channel. It's not big enough. The deep state cabal would be spending their time watching PewDiePie or Markiplier. They wouldn't have time to spend on channels like you.
And 15 citizens running on shoestring budgets are winning local elections. So
Barlock Moses, thanks for 17 months.
that's super exciting. When you see a bunch of people who ordinarily wouldn't win these like local elections, and they don't have a lot of money because, usually what happens is like, they get a bunch of bribes and they use that money and they make a lot of deals and they use that money to run.
Level 1 complete. Alexander OV says, Hype Train, also vote. Peter is right about election integrity laws, which are being passed by reps who are screaming voter fraud over legitimate elections. Yep. Everyone needs to go vote to try and overcome this shit, because it's really fucked up and it's disenfranchising poor people, disproportionately affects areas with a lot of minorities. It's really fucked up. So, I know. I'm not a big fan of Biden either. But if you want to hold on to democracy, I'd suggest you vote in 22 and 24. Just saying. And if you don't like any of the people on the ballots, try and run yourself. Or go help out a grassroots candidate that you do like in the primary. Just saying. Do something. Brockagum says, we all know Hillary watches every Peter video to figure out Trump's 5D chess moves. Vast Lunacy, thanks for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs. Very, very generous of you. Thank you so much for the gift subs. 65% to level 4.
run. And so by the time they win, they've made so many, you know, legal deals and moral deals and stuff like that, that they're kind of beholden to their donators, I guess you could say. And so it's really
Donors. The word is donors.
hard to get money. Honestly, you know, dollars here and there from the average common person and get the support and win. Very hard if you're starting from scratch, you're not even famous.
It's almost like Citizens United was a dog shit decision that fucked us and accelerated the fall of American civilization and democracy. Thanks, Supreme Court.
But they're doing it on shoestring budgets. Local citizens are winning these local elections, and it's because the patriot movement is exploded. It's growing, and when people see in your soul, they see who you are, and they're like, "That's a patriot. That's a good guy. We must support this person." It just happens, and we throw massive support on them, and they win. So this is very exciting for the future. There you have it, folks. 15 reasons that the whole their whole thing, their whole New World Order is collapsing, and we are doing so well. I have 15 more reasons, big wins of the year, very exciting things. There's stuff I can't really talk about, so I'll be making a video about it, and you know, hopefully it'll either be on YouTube or Rumble, probably on Rumble, but also it's definitely gonna be on Truth Social, which is gonna be released next month. If Truth Social is released in a month, it'll be on Truth Social.
I hope to God that Truth Social doesn't have a video upload thing. It'll piss Peter off so much, and it'll be so funny.
I'm doing one last...
Because the same thing happened with Mike Lindell's. Remember, Peter was, like, planning on getting everything ready for Mike Lindell's social media site, and then it launched, and you literally can't post anything yourself. It's just a place for Mike Lindell to shout into the void. It'd be hilarious if the same thing happened with Trump's thing. I do think it's going to have functionality similar to Twitter, from what I understand, but I don't know anything about it having the capability of uploading, like, full-length videos that are like 20 minutes long, like Peter does. Vast Lunacy with 1,000 bits says, "No dooming for these elections." Also, Choo Choo. Thank you very much, bringing us to 6% to level 5.
Live stream. It's going to be on Twitch. My Twitch handle is in the description below. I'm also going to put the link to...
I thought he stopped doing his Twitch. Let's see. When's the last time he did a video? Bittergrin, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Yeah, Peter I don't think has done a Twitch stream in a while. Although he says he's good on the 27th, I guess. 90% to level 5.
Wake and Widget Peas.
Wow, I think we're going to get to 2 level 5 hype trains in one stream. That's awesome. That hasn't happened in forever.
Video, 16 reasons the narrative is collapsing.
He removed all his Twitch because it was overrun by people with better arguments than he could. Princess Amelia, thanks for gifting a sub.
Have to watch it.
And you did it! We got to level 5. Woo! Procagom says it's a good stream. Well, thank you. You're a wonderful audience. Tip your waiters and waitresses.
Video, 16 reasons the narrative is collapsing. It's so funny and I'm gonna make you so happy. Watch that Awaken with GP video. I'll put it link in the description below. I'll also put a link to my Twitch account, Chill with Peter. Let's go chill this Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's have fun. Let's just relax.
Let's go, Peter. Let's go, Peter.
So if you guys have any questions or concerns or about me or Trump or the economy, anything like that, I can completely uncensored tell you exactly what I think. And we're going to have fun. We're going to watch some videos. Who knows? We'll play some video games, whatever. We're just going to chill, have fun, listen to some music, and have a great time.
I'll see you there, Peter.
Because I know I'm going to miss you guys.
Actually, no. I think it's a Thursday. Is it a Thursday? I have D&D on Thursday.
And after Sunday, I'm just going to be going full speed ahead on taxes for this project. And that's going to take a lot of time. And so I'm not sure how long it'll take before I can make a next video.
How long does it take Peter to do his taxes? Peter, you barely make money. What do you mean you're gonna take weeks to do your fucking taxes? It takes me like an hour to do my taxes. What?
But just to keep you...
And I make more money from more sources than you do. Because I have YouTube, I have Twitch, I have Patreon, PayPal, that I all have to put those 1099s in. Peter can't math. You don't even have to do the math. You fucking use TurboTax or something. What? You literally just take the numbers from the paper and you put them in the thing. It takes like an hour. The Atheist Brony says he's planning to do his taxes Kent Hovind style. We'll get his next video in 10 years. Did I see the cast list for the Critical Role animated show? I didn't. I don't watch Critical Role. Procagam says he has to research ways to make weed tax deductible. Carney says he's got an expense all those bullets individually. EO180 says if I was an asshole, I would question him about the economy, but harassing people sucks, so that's a no-no.
You guys entertain, and just to reconnect with you guys before I take this little break, before True Social starts and this break to work on my taxes, I want to reconnect with you guys. So I'm going to do this live stream. We're all going to have fun. I can't wait to see you guys there. Hope you guys like this video. I love making it for you guys. It's addictive because I'm really passionate about this stuff and I love talking about it.
Yo180 gets a 5K bits badge. Thank you very much.
And I really love you guys, even when you don't agree with me. It's spicy, it's interesting, but I do appreciate the support. There's some extremely loyal, generous, great fans out there who've been supporting me, and I'm really honored and humbled that people would support me like that. So thank you so much, guys. You are patriots in my mind. No matter who's watching,
A lot of this is in your mind, Peter.
I know you're active in politics, and I respect that. So thank you. And God bless you. And God bless America.
So, the tragedy of Peter Hanna continues. I don't know where the story of Peter Hanna ends, but I feel like it ends in a Netflix documentary, and you don't want to be starring in one of those, so I'm going to be honest. Although Netflix, if you do make some sort of, Netflix documentary about whatever tragedy happens, give me a call. I will absolutely show up and be, I don't know, I'll be in the trailer, and I'll say things like, I can be the last shot in the trailer, and it'll be like, I don't know how we didn't see it coming. All that time we watched Peter. We should have known. Smash cut to the title. I'm just saying. Give me a call, Netflix. Procagam. I want a producer title, though. Producer, please. Procagam says TurboTax has 2 T's. 2 T's sound like 2 3s, and 33 is related to the Freemasons, which means that TurboTax is satanic and will steal his money and children. Mr. Fred Rogers says, I feel bad for Peter, honestly. He kind of seems like a good guy that got sucked down the wrong algorithm-generated rabbit hole. Obviously, I don't agree with him, but, like, damn. No, I agree. I know we make fun of it a lot here in terms of what he believes. But, yeah, Peter's a victim of a system that is eating him up and chewing him, and it's going to spit him out eventually, and it sucks. Sucks for his family, sucks for him. It's really bad. Hope he gets better, but I kind of doubt it. So moving on.